Welcome everyone. My name is MaryLeah Marshall. I'm here at the Rum River Arts Center with Larry and Tom today. And I thought of doing this to honor the 30th anniversary of the Hubble Telescope and thinking about some of the gorgeous images that they captured over the years and thinking about making that into a painting. So we're doing an abstract piece today that's going to involve a wet technique. The materials that you'll need a round brush, and this can be relatively, I've got a number 10 here. I also have a really big one, and if you happen to have a really big one, that'll be great. And I have my water, I have my paper. You don't have to tape it down. You can just put it right down on your table to work from there. You'll need a little bit of salt, so you can just go grab the salt shaker and you can use that today. You'll need your paints, and I think it's really wise to have your colors ready so that once you dive into your painting, they're ready to go. Because we're working wet and wet, so it's very I would use the word immediate. It's also very intuitive. So you're going to really have a chance to do some creative painting today. Well, I captured them from the NASA website, and they're just so awesome. I thought you guys would like to see some different ones in a little slideshow. These are from most of them are from the Hubble, which has been in space for 30 years, right? Yeah. The first thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm using my brush to dampen the whole piece of paper.
Now, one of the things, MaryLeah, that we talked about too is that palettes like this can work also.
Yeah, they're great.
So, but you're gonna, just like she's talking about with getting your colors, you're gonna want to get these all wet with water, right?
Yes, you would want to get those.
And you'd want a palette, right, to have them.
You'd need a little palette. These are nice.
Like these.
To use, or if you just have a plate.
A plate will work.
A plastic plate will work. So my paper is very wet, and that is really the key here. I'm gonna remove it from this clip so that I can move the paper a bit. So the color that I'm going to start with, I'm going to start in the upper left-hand corner with this, okay, my left. And I'm going to start using in a diagonal manner. And I'm going to first show you one of the projects that I've done so that you can kind of see where we're headed with this.
Bring it back a little bit. Bring it back. Yeah, just so that, because I've got it laid on it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay. So I'm going to be starting right in this area first with my purple and a little bit of alizarin crimson, whatever color you have. And you can fill in this whole area, so you don't need to worry about where the black is or the dark color. It's not really black, but don't worry about that because we'll be covering over whatever it is you paint. Let me show you another example of one that I've done. I did this the other day. So we're going to start right up here in this area. We're going to work from this side to this side, okay? So I'm going to start up here, and I've got some alizarin crimson on my palette, and you can see I'm mixing it up. And I'm going to get a little bit of purple too. I'm mixing them here, okay? So I'm going to take that color, and I'm going to paint it into the upper left-hand corner. Now, I'm not brushing like this. I'm kind of doing a circular motion to let the color move and blend right on the paper, right on the paper. So sometimes, you know, we mix the color on our palette, and then that's awesome. And then other times we let it mix right on the paper. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm kind of going back and forth with the purple and with the alizarin. And I'm going to tip the paper just a bit, and I'm going to let it blend, and you can kind of see what it's doing. And I can move it around. That's why I don't have this secured to something. I want it to blend. And what I'm creating here are several different values. In other words, some lights and darks. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that, so I'm going to leave it. And I like how it's blending, making some really cool designs. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with some blue, and I'm going to skip a little area here. I'm going to leave some white, and I'm going to skip over more to the center area, and I'm doing a diagonal mark here, or brush stroke, I should say. You see where this is going? I'm leaving some area right here. And I'm going to blend this a little bit. And it's sort of blending out a little, and I might even add a little more of the purple in here. My shape is irregular. In other words, it's just sort of an organic shape. I'm painting really quite intuitively, just picking up the color and letting it blend right here on the paper. So if I add water, it's going to become lighter. It's going to be a lighter value. I can also go back in, because it's wet, I can go back in and get it even darker in areas. Okay, so darker color in here. Now this technique, as I said, is called wet and wet. And the process here of adding pigment into a wet area is called charging. So it's kind of fun to know the words that we use as we're painting along, but you can see that this is just blending really nicely here from a strong pigment to a lighter value. And I can do the same thing and let this blend a little bit. Okay, I'm ready to move into another color. I'm rinsing my brush, getting it relatively clean, and I'm going to dip in to my green. And it's okay if it blends in with the blue, because that will make a really pretty blue-green. They're friendly neighbors. They're called friendly neighbors on the color wheel, analogous colors. So that's where my green is going to go. But I don't want to get the green in here with the purple, because then I'll end up with mud. So I'm not wanting to do that. And now my paper's gotten a bit on the dry side, so I'm going to re-wet over here with some clean water. I'm going to go in with some yellow. Now I've got Hansa yellow, and I've also got lemon yellow. I'll show you my palette. So this is the Hansa, this is the lemon, and this is going to end up in this area down here. Now, if I want to, I can make a nice little orange by mixing a bit of my alizarin right here with the Hansa yellow. Get some of that in here. Sometimes you just dip into a color and you're like, oh, I have to use that. It's really pretty, really pretty. So here we go. I kind of want to avoid getting into this purple here, so I'm going to stay away from it. And it's okay to leave some white areas. All right, so now I'm taking a little bit of salt. I have it in a little baggie, but maybe you're just grabbing it from the kitchen. And I'm sprinkling this salt into the wet wash. And what that's going to do is it's going to collect the pigment. It's going to absorb the pigment into the grains of salt. And once it is dry and I brush the salt away, it will create some interesting and really neat textures. Okay, so let's do this again. We're going to do it together. I'm starting out now, and I'm working on the rough side of my paper. All right, so again, I'm wetting my paper. Okay, here we go. So The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start up again in that left-hand corner with some purple. Now, you can mix purple with blue and alizarin crimson, or if you have red, if you have a cad red, you can certainly use that. Now you can see how this is flowing really nicely here. We can always go back once our painting is dry and we can add more color. Add a little bit of paint if I want to. That's kind of fun. I can also add some little dots of different colors as I go. I always like to have a couple containers of water near me, and I don't have to get up and run to the sink to get more. If your paper starts to dry, then you'll want to try and re-wet the areas so that it's not too dry, because otherwise you're going to be pulling the paint right up off the paper. And avoid that. It's going to need to be dry. What we're doing now is we're going to be mixing up a nice dark. And you could use black if you have black, but if you're going to use black, you need to mix another color with it, like blue or purple, red, something like that would be good. If you don't have black, then you can mix, you could mix alizarin with your green. That would make a nice dark. And what we're going to do is we're going to be painting and creating a nice edge around your painting. So we'll need to, again, have this completely dry. So this is a painting that I was working on yesterday, and I wanted to have it dry so that I could show you the next step. And I'm going to mix up a little bit of dark, but first I'm going to get this damp, at least around the outside part of it. And now I'm going to mix up some dark, and I've got purple. I'm going to put it right here so you can see. I've got purple. I'm going to mix it with some green. I think that should work. I'm going to put a little alizarin in there too. All right.
There you go. How's that?
Perfect. Thank you. Thinking about where I want to make this happen, remember that I dampened around the edges. It's kind of a pretty, nice, rich dark. I want it to be dark enough that I don't have to go back. So really be generous with the pigment. We also are wanting our edges to be soft. You see how they're not hard edges, they're sort of running or moving into the yellow pigment that's right here. That's why we dampened it first. It doesn't have to be all the same value or even all the same color. You can see right here, there's a little bit of red, and I can see some purple. So I'm creating this interesting shape here. It's got a little dry down here. So you can always go back and re-wet it if you need to. The next part is just, again, we're doing a little splattering. You can see that where I've splattered white into my painting. So that's what I think we'll do next. And I'm going to use a smaller brush for that, and I'm going to get rid of my black water, and that wouldn't be so good because I really want to have it buried with white. One of the things you can do is just dot the white in. Actually, it works really well. Just to dot. You see what I'm doing? I did not dampen this first, but I'm adding just little white dots here and there. The other way would be to try a little splatter, and that involves getting quite a bit of white paint on your brush. You can see I've got quite a bit of paint there. And then you can just splatter it. Hopefully, yep, it's working. Well, thank you guys so much. Should I